Hello, hello, welcome back. Sorry, this took a little bit again. I had this recorded already, but like I kept going back to it because I feel like a lot of these characters are inherently a lot more complicated to talk about than before. But some of them are also just simple, so I was like, maybe like what I did was fine. I don't need to re-record it, but I'm recording it. Plus, I need some. The music in the background was a little bit too loud, so. Uh, yeah, this is part 2 of the Thrillstone Law Z. So, if you want to check out the part 1, go back and watch that. uh, yeah, and so we're getting to the second part. A lot of these characters are, again, like as I said, some of them are simple, some of them are a little bit more complicated than the first batch, which makes sense. But there's a lot of oddballs in this pack too, so we'll get into that. And the first one we're going to talk about today is Toon Eggman. I'm gonna be real. I don't really have much to say about this character. Like I don't even know what like I can say. Like he is Sonic X Eggman. I mean, he has a smash attack that goes. It's like a projectile thing that sends forward. But I think the problem I've mentioned it before. I don't really like Sonic X characters inherently. Is because I think they're kind of boring if you're just doing the Sonic characters, unless they do something specifically different from their original counterparts. You know, I'm not really captivated. I'm kind of like that with Toon Eggman. Like, he's cool, he's funny, but in a lot of ways, he kind of just feels like what an Eggman would be if he was in Smash. I don't really know how to describe it. He doesn't really bring anything interesting to the table outside of a he has the side B that he could put down like 3 of those, which is a lot, I will say. But he has to turn them on first, and they can't be interacted with until he turns them on, which is interesting. It's an interesting balance choice. I don't mind it. And he has like the up B, which is like a giant thing that launches him upwards, which is distinct. It's a lot of stuff he's placing down at once. And honestly, that up B thing is kind of huge. It's a little bit ridiculous. Like that's bigger than a Weird Al's bust that he puts down for his I think what side I think it was a side B down B. I don't really quite remember. So that's a little much. Maybe you could just put that at ledge and they can't really do anything about that. It seems a little bit broken. But I mean, inherently there's not really much to talk about here other than that. There's like some tweaking I would suggest balance size, but he's just not very interesting. I'm just gonna put him in like he's okay. He's about what you would expect. Now Pokey is interesting. So I think I said in the first part that Wally was a sprite comic character. That's my bad. I didn't know he was part of like something else. It was like a Mario troll game site thing. Uh, I'm pretty sure Pokey is though. Don't quote me on that. I'm pretty sure, but judging by the inspiration clips, he is totally from a webcomic or a sprite comic or something, right? I'm not crazy. I like him though. I like his. He's got some interesting qualities. Like he seems like pretty simple. He's not that crazy or anything. But it's what he does has that kind of under the surface that's kind of interesting to me. It's that his side B, the little boxing glove projectile that he shoots out. I think it's the only move in Law, every Law period, where like he can just send out a projectile that is not blocked by anything. Like not Panty and Stocking, Scanty and Knee Socks, and some other boss characters can, and other people that can like stun and do some things that like turn your moves off and you can't use them for a while outside of like your up special. Pokey is just invincible against that with this move, which is interesting. Like he could just like, yeah, no, he's kind of countering that kind of move, which is a very specific thing to counter, but it fits him. You know, he's like very confident. He's very like he's a bit of a annoying bird. He says a lot of absurd things, so he's not going to be stopped by someone telling him to stop. I like that. It's a cute little detail. I really like it. I also like how his upbeat doesn't really send him that far at all, but it's I like the original inspiration clip. It was goofy, it was silly. I liked it a lot. Um, and the down B, it's like he puts down the thing of gold, and he gets a match, and he can choose to throw the match at the gold or just throw the match, and it'll be like a thing on the floor that and it's like this super tiny like the match itself is like a pixel, but it's barely impossible to see, but like that I think the hitbox is even bigger than that, so that's just like super annoying but in a good way. I think I like the idea that it's just like this tiny little hitbox you got to remember is there at all times. It's like Snake's mines, if you remember how like those things are kind of easy to forget about after a while and just get knocked up by them. uh and then obviously he can just throw out the gold to make it burn and make an even bigger trap. But I think having, the tiny match is still pretty funny. I like that a lot. Uh, it said that you can pick up the gold after you throw the match, but you don't throw the match at the goal. But it doesn't say what it does. Like, does he get health back? Does he get coins in coin battle? It's never really explained how he benefits from like interacting with the gold, and it doesn't show. So I am curious, like, how that interacts with other characters in this law. Because as we'll get to the sheriff in Nottingham in a little bit, I wonder if like would he get money from that as well as he a direct counter to Pokey? These are questions I have. But yeah, I think I'm gonna put him in. He's good. I think he's interesting. I like the little concepts here. He's not too complicated, all things considered, but he's cool. He's goofy. I like him. I like him. Um, and then we have Toon Pac-Man. A lot of people were saying this is some of their favorite moveset, and I was like, oh, that's surprising. I don't really remember this moveset too well, but I know Toon Pac-Man shows up a lot, so I'm guessing he's interesting. And I watched it. I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I can see why people would like this moveset. He's cool. He's got some interesting stuff. The neutral B isn't too complicated. He sends out the little, the chomping projectile that goes forward, and he can like charge it a little bit. But it's not inherently that complicated. It's simple. It's a simple projectile move, all things considered. It's his other special moves in combination with each other that kind of go crazy. I'll talk about the down B first, because I forgot about that one when I first recorded this. So, he sits down the tree, and if someone attacks it, I think, a bunch of bees will start attacking now, and it'll do a little bit of health. But he can also, like, just put the tree down, and then, like, press the B button again to send out a swarm of bees forward. So it's an interesting move. It means that he's already got like two projectiles there, but he can like kind of mix it up a little bit with a down B if he really wants to put that down. Um, and then he has the side B, which is even more bullshit. So it is two separate projectiles. It is the dog and the frisbee. And the dog chases after the frisbee, and the frisbee does less damage, but the dog does more damage. And the dog will always follow the frisbee, and if you hit the frisbee, it'll go in the opposite direction, and then the dog will go that way instead. It'll flip around to follow the frisbee wherever it goes, until it gets the frisbee. And then I think it goes away, I think is what happens. Yeah, and you can't you can't attack the dog or anything, you can only attack the frisbee itself. And all of Pac-Man's attacks also interact with the frisbee, so you can kind of ping-pong it around to trade, like trying to like mix things up, which is like I like that idea. It's so cool. And it makes me wonder if like, oh, what if I put the tree down and the frisbee gets knocked back, and then the frisbee hits the tree, activates the bee swarm or something. I don't know, like there's just a lot of moving parts in this moveset. They're really, really cool. I like that a lot. And then he has the up B, which is like the giant, hot air balloon. Yeah. And it's a pretty big move, but then like he can also, it goes upwards, but then he can also like tap the button again to make it chomp forward, or I think it said any direction, but it only showed it like chopping forward. And apparently it's like it's a good move. I thought it was cool to how like, because it's a fast moving up B. Kind of reminds me of like, what if Seymour Skinner's up B? You could like attack with it while still holding on to it. It seemed cool. It was cool. I think I suggested before that, oh, maybe you should give it super armor because it feels like, I mean, like if there was a giant hot air balloon coming at me that was chopping its fangs, I'd be scared. I don't think I could interact with that. But like now that I'm thinking about it, because he has so many other projectiles, if you made that super armored, that would just be a little bit broken. So it's probably for the best that isn't super armored. But yeah, no, I like this moveset. I actually thought I can see why people like him. He's interesting. He may be a little, he might have a little much, but he kind of reminds me of Duck Hunt Dog in a lot of cases where he just has a lot of projectiles that will do a lot of different things. And you know that's kind of just the game plan he's meant to play around. Like which tools are good for this moveset in this fight at the moment. So I like him. I like him a lot. Maybe I put him higher. I don't know. I could see myself putting him higher, but right now I'll put him in so good. Six Shot. Six Shot's gotten a lot of spotlight lately. So he got turned into a Galvatron's transformation thing currently, and I actually, you know, by himself, I think Six Shot is honestly really cool. I like Six Shot a lot. He's probably like maybe my favorite of the Transformers if I ever had to choose to play as one of them. Um, two of his special moves are like movement options where he can like dash forward or like with the side B. It's like a little. It's like if he's in the air and he can dash forward with it. It's very committal. But if he's on the ground, he can just transform and shoot lasers or dash or move or anything. It's more free form. And his up B, he can turn into a plane and dash around kind of like a. And dashing around, if he bumps into somebody, it's a combo starter. I think it said it's supposed to be a combo starter, but it only shows him like popping another opponent up for someone else to attack for a combo starter. So it seemed like it was only good for team battles. I do think it would be cool if the speed of how he untransforms from the plane form was buffed so that he could actually like attack out of it himself too. That would be nice. I think that would be appreciated. But I think we all know like the move that's probably his biggest feature is like the neutral B, where he clones himself, which is so nuts. We have a lot of moves like this. They're usually turned into down Bs instead. But for Six Shot, it's his core neutral B. And I think I can see why, because this is a very strong move. Honestly, it probably might need nerfed a little bit. So, inherently, Six Shot is a giant, big body character. He's huge. He's huge. So, being able to just make two clones on the left and right of yourself is very different from Timmy's dad or Rick and Morty, where they have like a bunch of clones they can put side to side because they're not very big. They're very lanky and thin characters, so extending their attacks is good. But for Six Shot, he's a big guy, so you basically have to fight through an entire wall of a character to get to the actual opponent you need to defeat. That's a lot. That's a lot to ask for a lot of characters. It's very difficult. Um, and unlike a lot of other characters who can create clones themselves, whereas those would be like separate hitboxes, but they couldn't be heard. You actually can defeat these other clones, which is a good way of balancing it. I'd say. I think being if you weren't able to interact with them at all, and they were just like giant walls you had to respect, would be a little ridiculous. Um, I do think the thing is a little bit broken is that he can resummon them after 2 seconds. It's a little. I think like being able to just bring back your walls every 2 seconds is a little much. I think it's a little broken. I think that other than that, this is a very cool move. Like it's very powerful. It's a very strong move in his kit. I can see why it was made like his neutral B. Unfortunately, he doesn't have a down B because again, he's currently a transforming character with Galvatron. I would imagine that's changing. I don't know, but I like him. I actually like him a lot. I like him. I really, really like him. I'm gonna put him in near flawless. I think he's gotten a lot of spotlight. He's got a target test. He's got a couple of lore fights that you can watch on YouTube. I haven't watched all of them yet personally. I'm only just reviewing like the base movesets, and I know someone even asked like, "Didn't you watch the thing for Melee's movement?" I did not see that. I probably will go back at some point and watch those. design more context for everything in a character's kit for whenever I play Summon Flawless. Um, Skeletor. Skeletor he's simple, but like how I and Mean and the King are inherently not that complicated, but they're still very excellent. I think Skeletor is the same way in that he is what you would get if you know, probably did bring Skeletor into a Smash setting, but he fits. He's got enough of his weird quirks that I like him a lot. He's a zoner, so that means he just has like a lot of projectiles and traps and things. He has the randomized neutral beat, which it does bunch of different things. I like the stun one, where like he can shoot out a ray that kind of just makes you freeze in place or freezes other traps and items in place. It's very different from other moves, I think, where a character will freeze a trap in place and it'll be a constant hitbox. For him, it's not turned into a hitbox. I think it's just stopped, which is interesting. I like it. I like it. I do think the part where like it can stun him and then it can one hit KO, I think is what it's a little bit ridiculous. But I do like the idea of him like it being a super rare, like dangerous, like neutral beat he can send out. Like, he just kind of had to be wary of it at all times. That makes sense considering he's supposed to be a very menacing, like strong wizard. I also like the side view where like the comet where he can put the thing behind him and then he can just like send it out again to like follow up in front of him for a big explosion, and then that becomes like another character that is on the stage now. And he already has like another attack that does just that, where he can send out a character to just fight for him. So he's got a lot. He's got a lot, and he's also got a very good teleport. I think it's very. I like how it keeps the original style of the original show. It's very very good. Yeah, I mean he's not complicated. He's about what you get. I like him. He also has a unique taunt for every single character, which I also think that's a very Skeletor thing to have. I like it a lot. He just has so many like insults and lines for everybody that you could just do that. I like it. I like it. I like it. Bat Hero. Okay. So this character is very funny to me. I did a randomized match from a little bit ago, and he got absolutely mollywopped. He was terrible. He was so bad. But I like this character. In my heart of hearts, I love this guy. He's very silly. He's not. I don't think he's intended to be a joke character. He's very risk rewardy, but I think he's just naturally like a silly character because he is based on like a bootleg review channel. And I like all of his special moves a lot. Well, not really all of them, but I like the character that is here with this character. Like I can get what this is. I like how all of his movement specials can like break and fall apart and like knock him off, and he doesn't get anything out of that at all. And then the neutral B, he sends out like a Steffi, I think, and she'll just yell at somebody and do it. It's like a giant stun, but he also has to respect it too. It's just really funny. Oh my god, I love it so much. And then the down V takes out the wand. He's goofy. Like he's not. There's not really anything complicated to talk about with this character either. He's very simple, but I'm charmed by him. I think he's funny for a Batman-esque character based on, or even a bootleg character. This is good. I think he's funny. I don't think he's complicated or anything. I don't think he's best character worthy either yet, I would say. I think he's just funny. I could see him going up though, maybe if some of his animations got tweaked, if we saw normals and stuff. But for right now, he's just funny. He's just funny. Oh god. Starscream. So this is another one that I was very excited to talk about. I think for right now, before I even talk about like the big one, I'm gonna talk about the neutral B. So the neutral B is interesting in that it's a typical laser shot. A lot of the Transformers have laser attacks in there somewhere. Uh, and for him, it's a little bit slow to activate, which is like it's kind of surprising. And you think you want a laser attack to be a little bit stronger, but if he doesn't hit anybody and the laser hits the ground, it becomes like this unique trap it takes like 20% to get rid of, and he just creates a space where characters can't use projectiles and traps themselves, which is interesting. I like that. It's very giant too, so you just kind of have to deal with it for a bit. And for a lot of characters in this Lawl specifically, that's pretty threatening. That's kind of messed up to have to deal with now. Uh, I think it's cool. I like it a lot. But I think the main move we're all thinking of is the side B, or the spark thing. So he could just choose to like send out an extra copy of himself from his body that he will control now, and the original body will just become a statue that doesn't move or anything. But if it like falls off stage, that will count as a stock being lost. But the spirit doesn't take any damage, I think, specifically. I forget how it worked, but it was just separate for him, so he can just fight like that. Or at least he takes very, very reduced damage. I think that's what it was. It was reduced damage. And then if he gets KO'd as the spirit form, I think he does just return to his body. I forget what happens specifically, but it's like if the statue gets KO'd, his spirit doesn't return to it. It just kind of falls from the respawn platform as like another statue. So he still has to go back to it. It's kind of something he has to guard from then on before he wants to return. And I think that's cool. It's an interesting gimmick. From what I know about Starscream, that's very in character for him to like cheat the laws of like his just cheat in general. And so I think it makes sense like for him in a Smash setting to like cheat the stock system and try to like break out of it to be even more annoying. On top of like having that space where people can't shoot projectiles at him, so that makes it even harder for you to like get to the statue thing. I like it. I like it. It's interesting. It's interesting. I mean, just for those two special moves, I think he's very good. He might be a little crazy, but I think he has a very clear identity, and I like him a lot for that. I really like it. He's very different from a Six Shot and Optimus Prime and the other Transformers characters, and that's good. That's good. That's what I value most in a character is their identity. All right, give me 1 second. All right, all right. We got the Daleks. So this is a cool character as well. I really like this character. Um, so similar to Skeletor, they're kind of like a turtle, like a zoner character. And they have a standard like a strong exterminate beam, and then they can float and then shoot a weaker version of that. I forget exactly what their side B was off the top of my head, but it was the down B that was interesting to me the most. No, actually, I remember what side B is now. We'll get into that in a second. The down B is so cool because unlike a lot of other Zoner characters in Law, eventually they have to play the game, you know? Like, they can shoot projectiles out a lot, but eventually, in order to get a lead, someone has to approach a little bit with like, some kind of normal attack. The Dalek can kind of just say, no, and just, like, put up a barrier that blocks other zoning projectiles around him as his front. And that is just insane. So if he gets into a fight with another zoner character, he will always have the advantage against them. And that's so crazy. Like against a lot of other zoner characters, like telling them to have to play the game now is way harder to do. But Dalek doesn't ever have to worry about that himself. So that's like an interesting move to have. That's crazy. I like that. Just for that, I think this character is already really interesting. The only thing I don't like about him is the side B. It's kind of like he shoots out the plunger thing, and it's very slow. It's meant to like grab you and like do a lot of damage. If you do get close to him, it should be sped up a lot. Honestly, like it would be cool if like once they got close to you, just had this reactionary plunger move to jut out, and then just catch somebody. if they do manage to get up to your shield. That would be a cool tool to have. Maybe you could balance it out by, okay, once you use it, it gets rid of the down B afterwards. Something like that, so it's not too overpowered. But other than that, like, it is basically unusable. It's that slow. But I still like this character. I think he has a very clear identity. I like him a lot. I love the idea of a zoner. And it makes sense. The dogs are meant to be these tiny little tanks that, even though they're very slow, they are very powerful to do a lot of damage, and they can't be stopped. So I think this captures what a Dalek is very well. Honestly, I'm tempted to put them up in near flawless, but I think, like, just for that side V, I'll wait a little bit. It's a little side V's a little bit right now. The Sheriff of Nottingham. This is a very interesting character to go for. He's been getting a lot of spotlight recently too, and he's got a lot of love in general. He's got a lot of animations to pull from for attacks, obviously, and I mean, yeah, no, I like him. It's funny because, like, I think he's meant to be a villain, but the way he's kind of being portrayed in Law is, like, he's kind of, like, not that bad of a guy. I mean, like, in the original source, he's taking money from these poor people and everything, but he's kind of just a jailer in Law. Like, he's just kind of, you know, doing his job. He kind of wants money, but he's he's making ends meet, you know? I like that. I like that in a different setting. He's not that bad of a guy. And it makes sense. We have a lot of villains in Law. So we kind of need a guy like the Sheriff. The Sheriff. I like how he has a similar thing. We haven't gotten to Eddie yet, but he has like a similar money system to where he can upgrade his normal attack. I mean, not his normal attack, his neutral beat to be a golden arrow if he has enough money, and it's very powerful. But I think his most powerful move is the side B counter thing, where he'll do a counter, and then you'll just be, like, launched backwards, and then trapped in a giant cage, and he can just attack freely. That's, like, so strong. It's so strong. You could, like... I'm wondering how that would work, like in other settings. Like, if you're in the air off stage, and, like, you try, like, doing a recovery move that has any kind of, like, attack property to it, or any kind of hitbox, he can just jump at you, counter, and then you'll get launched back, trapped in the cage, and just fall to your death. That's it. Game over. It's very powerful, but I kind of like that. It's kind of funny. I like this character a lot. I think the other thing I don't like is the shield special, I think, where he'll swing the bag around, and I think it doubles his money gain for a little while, but it's super slow. He can't, like, and he also only hits from behind him first, not in front, so, like, there's a giant windup to even use it. It feels a little weak, but I guess it kind of makes sense. I don't know. He feels like he's meant to be a more heavyweight version of Eddie because he is a big guy. But I don't know. I'm not too crazy about it. I do think the Final Smash is very well animated, though. I appreciate that. It's very, very good. We don't have many cutscene Final Smashes, and I always appreciate when I see more of them. So, you know, I'll put him in... I think I'll put him in very good. I mean, so good, yeah. I like him. I think he's pretty neat. Oh my god, I forgot what his name is. Shoot. Give me 1 second. I'm looking this up right now so I don't look silly. Velho. That's it. Velho. I remember now. Yeah. So Velho, as you can probably hear in the background music. I think Velho has one of the best moveset tracks. Period. Like, it imparts a sense of, oh shit, what is this character? Like, it's so epic sounding, and then to go with, like, this very, like, low frame animation 3D character, it makes him feel so much more scary and villainous. I love it a lot. I love him a lot. And he shoots out lightning from his hand and has a laugh. He's so cool. Like, oh my god, I love this character. And he has a lot of other lightning in his other normals and his aerials, I think. And he's just a very interesting character. I don't know anything about his source, but again, like, you're capturing me already with the presentation. And I love how his down B, he activates a little trap thing, a little box thing that'll hop forward, and then he can bring out a music box from his hand as well and play that, and it'll stun anyone in front of him. But it will also like speed up the box as it's moving around, and it doesn't go off ledges, I think, so it'll just keep going. So he can just on command speed it up. I just think that's interesting. It's a really cool property to give to a assist projectile thing. I don't really know what you would call it. It's just cool. It's just cool. And then he can also turn into a tornado. Ah, this character just like I honestly want to know more about this character source. I should probably like look into it. I like him a lot. I think the only thing I'm like super like, I'm kind of on the fence about is like the side V. He hops into that giant thing, and it dashes forward. It leaves like a giant like ice trail thing underneath, and it's a platform for him, but to everyone else, it's like a spike trap. And I'm just wondering, like, is that a little strong? I don't know. I mean, like, if he dashes off stage with it, can he? I mean, I don't know. It doesn't show him being able to hop off of it. So, again, hypotheticals. These are things I will think about whenever I make a proper, an analysis series on all these characters. But I like him. You know what? Like, again, this character honestly captured my interest enough that I'm gonna put him in your flaws. He might be a little broken, but I'm gonna make it like an exception here, just because I think he's like that fascinating. I'm gonna keep looking at Dalek, but yeah, no, that's IV. That's IV is still a bit much for me. And Velho was a two-part moveset when he was released. It was him and Paper Bowser. I'm gonna be real. I don't really like Paper Bowser, and that's not saying like the moveset was bad or anything. I played a lot of Paper Mario as a kid. I played a lot of Super Paper Mario, Paper Mario Thousand Year Door. So I kind of knew what this. I was kind of just like, what can you do for Paper Bowser that would make him stand out from regular Bowser? It's like the Toon Eggman problem. And I'm gonna be real. I don't know. Maybe I don't like this music. I don't know. Like the neutral B, he does the he just shoots the fire. I'm real. I've never liked that sound effect from Super Paper Mario either. So just to have that brought over to this just makes me groan internally. And it's not like I follow the moveset itself. That's just more of a me thing because I played Super Paper Mario and I heard that like that sound bite, sound clip like at least 100 times. But yeah, I guess that is what his neutral B. But that's literally just Bowser's neutral B, so that's not really. I mean, it functions a little differently, but it's still basically the same thing. And then the up B is the clown car. Like, yeah, okay. I guess that also makes sense as well. The only two real interesting moves I would say he has is like maybe not even like two, it's more like one. The down V is kind of interesting. He can pull out the Star Rod and it'll give him like either a buff or a debuff, and after he uses it I think he can turn into a regular projectile attack or a stun or something, and it's cool. It's inherently a very simple moveset move, and not just, but like his side B, he brings out Kami Koopa, and respectfully, I think it says a lot that the most interesting move in his kit is the move that brings out a completely different character. Like, Cammy there's a lot of things that Cammy can do, which makes sense, because like in Super Mario, she was often helping Bowser out a lot, and she has like a lot of spells and things, and she can like heal him if he gets knocked down. There's a little bit of a delay though, so it seems like it wouldn't be that useful, is the thing. Because like if you're already on the ground, the opponent's gonna be running at you, so she's just only getting in the way to get attacked. So I don't think that heal will ever happen. She can shoot a projectile. I think it's a little slow. I don't know. I'm not really wowed by this character, honestly. yeah, like, I'm not really. This is kind of, I guess, what you would get, but this is more of a case like, did this character really need to be made, kind of thing. Like, I'm not really super captivated by this idea. I think you could definitely make him more interesting if you like pulled from more stuff. I don't know. Like, this is a weird character inherently. It's kind of like following the. It's kind of like the Toon Eggman problem, but I think like Toon Eggman at least has like a whole like TV series, you know, where like he did some stuff. Like, this is just Paper Bowser. I honestly, maybe I should put him up a little bit, just put them side by side, or maybe I should pull Eggman down. I don't know. I just think they're kind of both boring. But Paper Bowser, I have more of a vendetta against him, so I'll be nice and just put them together. I think that I'll be fair. I don't know. I'm not really. I don't know though, because Toon Eggman has a lot more stuff going on with him. Yeah, I'll put Paper Bowser maybe just lower, but in the same tier. Now Wabu. So we don't have many Dingo Pictures characters in Law right now. We've kind of gained a trend of having some bad movie characters, and I think those are always fun. But I'm actually gonna go out on a limb and say I think Wabu is the best honest portrayal of a bad movie character. You know, as of right now, there's like other characters that have been thrown out potentially to ever happen in other laws, but I think Wabu is probably the best. I'm gonna put him in your flawless. So as like I think the reason why I like Wabu so much is just like unlike best Hercules or even worst Hercules. Worst Hercules is actually a good comparison. Worst Hercules had a whole update patch to get him turned into a proper character. But I still feel like I get this vibe. I mean, it's in the name, you know. He's clearly called Worst Hercules. It imparts this joke character feeling, where it's like, oh, he's bad. Ah, that's funny. I don't really want to play him. But also, it's oh, he's animated really badly. He's got some bad moves that, like, if I miss with him, he gets worse. Like okay, like I get what's going on here, but that doesn't really make me want to play him. You know, he's kind of just. And then best Hercules is just funny, but he is a joke character. Like, you play him a couple of times for the fun of it, and then you don't play him ever again. But you would still play him because it's part of the experience. Wabu is good because he is a honest, like, he is just a character. He's not like Worst Raccoon. He's not like Pocahontas, the joke character. He is Wabu. He has some very just general moves. Like, he has the move where he drinks a liquid that heals him a little bit, but it also like speeds him up. It makes him go even faster. And he's a tiny little guy too, so like giving this tiny character even more speed is very strong. But obviously, if he drinks too much, then his attack speed gets lower. So then he has to. That's like the trade-off. He has to be careful he doesn't drink too much. That he gets the attack speed downside along with like the speed downside. But that still gives him a utility, you know? Like, even if he can still choose to drink too much, and then he can just run around and time you out like Sonic. So he just be annoying little shit if he really wants to. He doesn't have to worry about the attack speed downside. That's just like one half of the move. And then he can put down the cake for his side B, which is just like a healing. It's like a food item, but opponent will always interact with it. So they can't like choose to not press the A button. They're just always going to eat it. And that constantly causes them to interrupt their attacks with like a sneeze or a stun. It's like the most irritating thing to happen ever, is like every couple seconds you just get interrupted. Like, that could, in the middle of a match, that could be super, like, the most irritating thing ever. You just kind of have to like deal with that. So again, like, he's just being even more of a little shit. And on top of that, he can put down his down B thing, which is it brings forth like I think it was Charlie was the name. It was one of the Dingo Picture cats that will like dash back and forth and it'll just bounce around. But if the opponent like attacks Wabu, then Charlie will try to pounce them and go after the opponent. And once he does it, he'll hold the opponent in place and scratch them for damage. And then Wabu could follow up on that. Like, there's a lot of moving parts to this character. He just feels very complete. He feels like he is just a character. He's not meant to be a joke. He is just a like he has some risk rewardy elements, but I'm not getting the feeling that he's terrible. You know, like I'm not getting a whole bad move that has like no purpose if I miss. Like with Worst Hercules, like he has like a he has pros and cons to which way you want to swing with his neutral B. He has some reasonable traps. He has an assist character that works, and his recovery to balance all of these, problematic elements out. He just gets like a simple, floaty umbrella, kind of like a bandana D in like Kirby games. I do want to ask though, does he get multiple jumps? I feel like this is a character that I could see having like three jumps or something like that. I want to know. I want to know this character has multiple jumps. I think if any character had to have multiple jumps, Wabu would probably be one of them. He just feels like that to me, That's not something we really talk about in Law. It's like, oh, what if a character has more than 2 jumps and to combo with? What happens then? I think this is a character that would definitely benefit from that because he is like recovery is just that bad, and I could see him like needing an extra jump. I like Wabu. Wabu is excellent. I put him high for a reason. Krang. Okay. I'll be real, I don't like Krang's. I've never liked Krang's voice. Krang's voice is like is very annoying to me. I don't really like it. But that's not gonna change my rating in any way. I will say, I will compare him later to another character later. And, because he has some very interesting moves that are similar to someone else. But let's go over what he does first. So, he has an interesting portal move that he can put down with his side B. So the first portal he will put in front of him always, and then the second portal will randomly appear somewhere else on stage. At least I think that's what it's implying, because like he isn't. The second portal appears in the video behind him up on a completely different platform. So I'm guessing it's randomized where it will appear. But it'll at least probably be on stage, I'm assuming. The first one is the one you can directly control to go off stage if you wanted to. Which I think is interesting. I think it's interesting. And he can choose to move through it for a teleport. Projectiles will get eaten up by it. And he can also, in combination with his down B, he and his assist character can walk through it together. I think it's interesting. I think it's cool. And then his neutral B, he has a very strong projectile. It makes sense. And then his recovery is a super fast dash upwards. And the one thing I will ask right now, was Krang meant to be fast? Because something you'll notice with another character is that he feels strangely faster than someone else for being as big of a guy he is, and I want to know if that was on purpose or not. Was that meant to be the case? Was there meant to be like this character meant to be faster than someone else? I don't really know. But as is, I think Krang, he seems pretty good. Like, he's got a lot of movement options. He's got a cool projectile that goes, it's actually very fast to activate. It's strong, it's big. He seems good. He doesn't seem that bad, honestly. I'm gonna put him in very good. Yeah. And we have Edamon. I love Edamon. This is a character, this is the first case, again, that we'll be doing this. So, as you can see down here, there's a little E, or a little backwards E. And whenever you see this icon, that means on this tier list, this is a character that was already in another Lawl previously. And for one reason or another, this is just a completely different take on the character. And this usually happens if someone feels like they have enough ideas to talk about or something. Or, they want to redo a character's moveset. They feel like it deserves it. So, Edamon, we haven't gotten to the original Edamon yet. This is the first case of this, but so we'll just talk about, Edamon here. And I like him. I actually like him a lot. I generally just like characters with accents like this. I think he's very funny. I think he has an assist character that you can pull out to buff his attacks. I think that's cute. It's very cute. But like the final smash is probably like one of the interesting attacks. Is like he brings out like the giant ball thing from the sky that can like eat you or something like that. And it's a weirdly menacing final smash. I think this character is a villain, like, which is weird. I don't know much about Digimon outside of the fact that it's kind of more messed up than Pokemon in a lot of ways. A lot of crazy stuff happens, and I can definitely feel it in Anamon's moveset. He feels weirdly scary. Like he's messing with powers he does not comprehend, and he should not be doing that. And he has, like, a bunch of other... I don't really remember most of his moveset off the top of my head right now. But, like, he was pretty good. Like, there wasn't anything particularly egregious about it. It was just a good moveset overall. I liked it. And we have Luxo Jr. This is a simple character. He's a simple little guy. He's a little lamp dude. So, Luxo Jr. is interesting in that he's kind of... He feels like he's repping not just, obviously, the Pixar lamp stuff, but he's representing other short Pixar films of the time in his special moves, and I like that. I like that it's cool that they're not just like that gives him more potential. I feel like if anyone had to be a rep for the Pixar short films, Luxo Jr. makes sense. He makes sense, and I like how he has a lot of moves around with like balls and stuff. He can choose to like. I forget what it was. Did he have multiple? I think he had multiple. He can like juggle them for, I think his. God, why am I blanking on his moveset right now? I'm remembering a lot of the other moving parts of his moveset, but not like the specifics. I think he did have a ball that he can bounce around. Obviously, that does about what you'd expect. And he had the box move where he could jump in a box and it would fall down. It'd be kind of like Kirby's stone move. And he could also hop on top of it to, get some more elevation and hit opponents. I don't know how great that move is, because inherently the benefit of being a small character is even though you're stubby, opponents have to, like, tilt to hit you, too. So I think the solution would be, rather than, giving him a box to stand on and make him more exposed to someone else, just to extend his hitboxes, the solution should probably just be, like, make him attack faster, I mean, he is tiny. It would make sense. But yeah, no, I mean, like, I don't really have much to complain about his moveset. He's simple. He's not, like, a very complicated character inherently. He has, like, some moving parts here and there, but he is what you would expect. I'll put him in so good. Maybe I'll put him in... Nah, I think he's unique enough where I still like him. I think he's a cute representation. He's about what you would expect. There's nothing wrong with him. Give me 1 second. We're almost done. So we have Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy. So this is an interesting character, because they're meant to be... we have a couple cases of Ice Climber-esque characters in Lawl, where there are two separate entities interacting with each other. And obviously, one of the first things everyone will always ask is, what happens when they desync? What is, like, the properties of them desyncing? That's usually, like, the number one thing you want to think about when you make this kind of character that's, like, not a tag team, but, like, an Ice Climber situation where there are two people. And I think the potential is there for this idea, but it's not explained. And I think that's, like, my biggest critique of it. So, Barnacle Boy does grabs. He is the one that does grabs for you. And you directly control Mermaid Man first. He is the free leader, which is interesting. I think that Barnacle Boy isn't really explained enough. Like, he does a couple of things you'd expect. Like, for the neutral B, they throw the water balloon thing, and they'll throw it both sides if you have Barnacle Boy. Which is cool, that makes sense. And for, like, I think it was the down B, like, they pull out, like, the tool belt, tool thing, and they can choose one of the contraptions, or gadgets to use. And I think Barnacle Boy uses them himself. It's not Mermaid Man. I forget specifically, but I know again. One thing I was wondering is like, okay, what happens if Barnacle Boy doesn't use the invention? What if he's not there and Mermaid Man has to use it? Is it slower because he's generally like the bigger, slower, older guy? I don't really know. It's not really explained, and I think that's something I want to see in like a moveset. You know, can like they choose to use two different gadgets for each other? Um, do they use certain gadgets slower than than the other one? Like I don't know. I just want to know how they work in tandem. There's ideas here. There's definitely potential for this to be expanded further. I am very interested in that. But as is right now, it's not really explained. But I see that. I see the potential here. I see the idea they're going for. I also like the tilts. I think they're very funny. I really hope that I think it's like either the up tilt or the down tilt where they're on the rocking chair and they just go back and forth and it's just very quick and fast. I love that so much. I hope that gets turned into like a combo move where like they can just spam it over and over and over and then follow up with an aerial or something. I just like the idea of just them rapidly rocking back and forth on the rocking chair. It's just very funny. It's goofy. It fits them a lot. I like them so much. Yeah, I'm putting them in so good. I think there's definitely potential to flesh them out more before I put them in near flawless. So yeah, I like them. I like them a lot. Mr. Water News. Oh gosh, this is like a fantastic movie. Mr. Water News was teased for a long time. He was in so many lore cutscenes. People were like so excited to see what we would do for him because like you can envision that he would be very interesting as a character because he's also interesting from a Lawl perspective because he's the main villain, but he's also like not Randall, you know, like he is not the main villain at the same time. Like he's kind of like his own entity. He's not really remembered as much, but he has like that potential that you could see like he would be really cool. And I think this moveset really pulls it off splendidly. We'll start with this episode. The final smash is animated fantastically. I think it's handled very well. It's another cutscene thing, but like the intensity is captured very well. Uh, and his recovery is simple. It's something they took from a video game, which is a cool way of like stretching like all the resources you have for a character. I think it fits in really well. Because like I mean, the recovery is always the hardest move to do. He gets on a platform and it'll raise upwards, and then he can stand on top of it. And then in the air, it just kind of floats up a little bit, and then it goes away. And it's simple, it works, it's good. But I think what is super interesting is how it could work in tandem with his other moves. So the neutral B is the canister thing where he will flick it open, and it'll start screaming, and then it'll stun anyone in place and do a lot of damage. And he can choose to keep holding it down to do even more and more damage until I think they get launched backwards. I forget what happened exactly. I don't think there was even a launch or anything. But I think if you hold it down even more, you should be able to just launch them with it. And once he's done with that, he will toss it away, and it will become like a projectile that he can possibly run back and grab. And as I said before, if you have an item gimmick like that in your moveset, you're probably good. So that's cool. He can also do it again if he wants to make two projectiles things to toss around. So that's interesting. It's interesting. And then the side B, the 2319, is he'll throw the sock, and then the hazmat people will come down. And if that sock hits an opponent or any kind of trap, they're just fucked. They can't do anything. The hazmat people will just come down, wrap something over them, and they'll just take a lot of damage. And Mr. Waternoose also can interact with them though, but they are basically just exposed. They are just going to take that damage, and they have to eat all of it. And then if it hits the sock hits a projectile, they'll put a little explosive thing on top of it, and it will just be taken out of play for a bit. And this is like it's a very strong move to have, and both of these moves are already really good. Now imagine like you can pull up the platform and give him this like big guy some elevation, and he would be even stronger because like that neutral B covers like the whole platform, I think. And the only thing you can't do with the side B is you can't angle it up or down. I think if you could angle it down at the very least, that would be so strong. Like, imagine like being on top of that platform, you can just like throw socks at the opponent. They just have to avoid that sock if they ever want to jump at Mr. Waternoose and get up there to like follow up on him. Like, that gives him like a very powerful presence you have to be careful about. And then also like for his I think it was the down B, yeah. He'll summon a door and it'll like pop upwards. And the initial hit will do damage. And he can also combine it with his rising platform and his up B to make you do even more damage with it, which is cool. I like that. I think it's very niche, but it's still good. But then whenever any opponent approaches the door, a monster will pop out and it'll stun them too. So that's another stun in his kit. That's very strong. But then there's also like a small chance for it to be Randall, so it will be delayed. And then Randall will pop out, then it'll do a lot, even more damage and stun. Which is good. That's a cool way of like differentiating. And all the monsters kind of do the same thing, but Randall is the one you kind of are hoping for. I like that. I like this character so much. I think he's so well animated as well. He's very well. It is a big character too. He has a lot of like obviously has the spider legs, so he's got a lot of moving parts. But I think he was handled excellently. Putting him in near flawless. I think this was a character that was well worth the wait, and I'm glad we got him. And we have Shredder. So I talked about Krang earlier, about how he's similar to another character, and Shredder in a lot of ways is similar to Krang, but it feels like that wasn't it supposed to be that way. I don't know really how to talk about it. Shredder has some good ideas, so I'm not like too burnt on him, but I don't know. He feels like he's so much slower than Krang, which is like, I don't know if that was on purpose. I really don't, because like Krang is a big guy, but all of the attacks are strong. They move fast, and he's just much more agile than Shredder is. He's got a lot of moves that just kind of, and it's weird because he's meant to be a zone breaker, like. He has like the side B where like he starts walking forward a little bit, very slow, and then he can slash with his sword, which is also a little slow. And if it hits the opponent, it does damage. It's fine. But it's like whenever he hits nothing, it'll make a portal in front of him. It'll slice open a portal, and then he can dash forward in that portal to appear, further in. It's different from Krang's portal where he only needs to make one and then he can just dash forward. But Krang, his second portal is random where it'll appear, so he can't really predict it. And I don't know, it's just slow. It's very, very slow. And then he also has like a minion that kind of runs forward. And I think the minion is faster than like I think anything else in Shredder's moveset, which is strange. And then the neutral B, obviously, he throws the gas thing. And then the up B, he turns into a fly. It's about it's like simple. It's not crazy or anything. I don't know. I'm not really feeling this moveset. I don't really feel like. I mean, and I think this is another character that's kind of hurt by the fact that he was in NASB 1, Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl. And I mean, that game was rushed a lot, obviously. It's not perfect by any means. But I don't know. Like they are similar Shredders. Like this is just Shredder, and Shredder in that uses a lot of more weapons in his kit. He's a heavy guy, but he also feels like he has more impact there too. I'm not feeling it with this Shredder really at all. I'm not really getting that same feeling whatsoever. I like the Final Smash though. The Final Smash is very, very good. I like the idea that it transforms all the characters into the animal forms, and then he can just launch stuff at them. That's cool. I can appreciate that at the very least. But I don't know. I'm not really feeling this. Like when I think, I mean, obviously I'm not a TMNT fan, so I can't speak for everything about Shredder. But I don't know. Even like the few normals we did see in the moveset don't seem that crazy. I don't know if he's eh. I think I'll put him in because he's like he kind of works. He's fine, but again, I feel like there should be more potential here for him to be a little bit better, and especially when you compare him to Krang. Krang just feels like he's weirdly better. It feels like their stats were reversed. I feel like Krang should have been the slower one, despite having all the extra stuff, and then Shredder should have been super fast. But Shredder's speed wasn't really established well in his moveset. All right, the last one we got Connie. Wow. This is a very good April Fool's character, I will say. This is probably one of the best ones, period. Uh, I love how many all costumes he has, by the way. You should look that up sometime. He's got a lot of them. So, I think we can safely say this is a character that I think is, of all, I mean, he's not meant to be a joke character, but I think we can call him a best character. Because he was designed to be like. I think the design is good though. I think like if I had to rank these characters, I think I would probably put Connie over Boris. Maybe I like the idea of that. A character you pick him up and like, oh, this is such a stupid character. Let me try him out, I guess. And he seems fine on the surface. Like when you start playing a match, he seems good. There's nothing wrong. But then a few seconds start going by, and his stats like are going all over the place because of the crypto bar meter. It's so funny. I love that idea that like he is just so all over the place that if you genuinely want to make him work, you are wasting your time. And he is just there to waste your time. Like for only the most stubborn and ridiculous of people. And that is such a good way to make an NFT character. That is so good. I think they captured everything with Connie like perfectly. Like this is like a very excellent character. I like the idea that he is like if you really did want to play him, it would be like miserably impossible, but you could do it. And a lot of his special moves are just like built around this concept. I think my favorite still is the neutral meter where he can just waste away all his coins and just flick them out in either direction. If he hits an opponent, like the meter goes up, but if it misses, it goes down. It's a great way to just accelerate his bar on a whim. But it's also just like you're throwing away money, man. You're throwing away money. Like, oh my god, it's such a good moveset. It's like perfect. This is literally like they perfectly captured Connie. I love Connie a lot. And also, like, he fits in this Lawl perfectly because he is a weird, strange 3D animated character. I just love him. I love him a lot. But yeah, that is Throw Some LZ. As you can see, there were a lot of weird characters here, but a lot of them are still very excellent. I think this batch of characters shows that, you know, a lot of these characters, these are very strange picks, but a lot of them are better than, I would say, some other Lawls. Like Dingo Pictures Wabu, I think is better than a lot of other bad movie characters. I think he's done very excellently. So yeah, that is it for now. Next time we will be getting into Law Mad. This is gonna be a shorter one. Obviously, there's not many characters. It's a little bit slower paced of a Law, but I think it's still got some very excellent characters to talk about. So yeah, look forward to that. But yeah, I'm probably gonna stop for now. It's been going for an hour now, but yeah, you all have a wonderful day. Bye bye.